Hey, what's up guys? My name is Sal, and this is another expedition log. Today's expedition takes us to Roxbury Township, New Jersey, in Morris County, to a town called Ledgewood. When I learned of the Ledgewood Mall, I was nearly too late, because when I got there, they were already demolishing the mall. However, I did decide to go anyway. I did look online and I saw that there were a few recent videos that showed that a couple of the concourses still existed. So I took my chances and I took off, up 95 and through the turnpike. And what I saw was actually pretty shocking. This is one of a few malls that I've been to during my tenure on the Expedition Log series that were in the process of being demolished when I got there. My first was the Euclid Square Mall that Ace's Adventures and Wally B tipped me off on. And then it was the Schuylkill Mall, which I was incredibly fortunate to see before its complete demise. So come take a walk with me one last time through what remains of the Ledgewood Mall. But first, a word from our sponsor today. And despite his fondness for this wine, he made it through the spot and was able to deliver. Here is Orson Welles for Paul Masson Wine.
I'm here at Paul Masson's Chateau in California. Almost every night here there's a wine tasting party, and one of the favorites is Paul Masson Chablis. It's light and crisp. It's delicious. The wine you drink the most should be the best. And they take special care with it here because they know Chablis is America's most popular wine. Paul Masson Chablis. I recommend it. Paul Masson will sell no wine before it's time.
The Ledgewood Mall opened in 1972 with 515,073 square feet of gross leasable area and barely any press coverage. Then in November of 1973, its first anchor, the Rickles Home Center, would have its grand opening. Grant City, which is an offshoot of parent chain W.T. Grant stores, they opened at the mall in November of 1974 as the second anchor. But just 1 year later, Grant City closed, following the company's bankruptcy. Chase Mortgage and Realty Trust, who originally loaned the money for the mall's development, went bankrupt in 1977, and the mall was sold to the Triton Group of New York in October of the same year. When the Triton Group purchased the mall, it only had 17 of its 54 stores rented. They hired an outside real estate management and leasing company, Hampshire Management, who would be in charge until 1979. An October 1977 article states that the mall was only 1/3 occupied and that 5 of its stores had relocated to the Rockaway Town Square Mall, only 10 miles away. We're only 5 years into this mall's legacy, and it's already a dead mall. In 1978, Jamesway and Arthur's, which was a catalog and jewelry distribution center, they opened at the mall, along with a Food Town grocery store. Then between 1979 and 1980, there were a couple of problems at the mall. Hampshire Management ceased managing operations at the mall, and the Harold H. Goldberg Company took over leasing of the mall in 1979 until mid-1980, when the mall's owners decided to do it themselves instead of using a leasing agent. Goldberg at the time was quoted as specializing in, quote, problem malls. The mall was delinquent on over $1 million in taxes at the time, and they were then in foreclosure. After Goldberg took over, 5 new stores, including Christina's Boutique, Maze Apparel, Le Salon Haircutters, Rockwell Restaurant, and Art World Custom Framing, opened at the mall. A 1981 article profiling the owners stated that the mall had been, quote, semi-occupied since its opening in 1972. Anchors at the time included Rickles Home Center, Arthur's, which seems to be like a service merchandising place or a catalog distribution center, sort of like what Sears used to be, and a Jamesway. In 1982, Ledgewood Mall was billed as, quote, the fastest growing shopping center, in an article by the Bernardsville News. It adopted a good neighbor policy in an effort to provide full-service shopping in a township that lacks a center of commerce. The mall went through a minor remodeling, including updates to the exterior and signage. 14 new stores were added due to this policy, including A&M Uniforms, Get Plastered, I have no idea what that store was, Hair Trek, Indian Hit, Leather Gallery, T-Shirt City, and Sweets and Sounds. They also added a convenience center, which seems to have included things like groceries and stuff you can buy for a few dollars just to avoid going to a big supermarket. At the time, there was a total of 34 stores occupying the mall, which was a major improvement of the 17 stores in 1977. At this time, owners of the Roxbury Mall held up a motion in court preventing the owners of the Ledgewood Mall from building a connecting road which would improve access to the mall at their own expense. This went on for several months, as they didn't want shoppers to have to cross their property to get to the Ledgewood Mall. The request was actually approved, and the road was built in late 1982. 1 year after the road was built, providing more traffic and commerce for this mall. In 1983, Acadia Realty Trust acquired the Ledgewood Mall for nearly $32 million. When I got to this mall, I didn't anticipate that I would find a room like this that was completely pitch black. And I was woefully underprepared. I didn't have my torch, I didn't have my floodlight, so right now we're just relying on my phone's flashlight. And I apologize about that. But this room was incredibly creepy. It had this horrible stench of mold, and there was something really weird in there that I just didn't know what it was. I was definitely sketched out when I was in this room. I didn't think people were there, I just thought it was just really creepy, but it wasn't going to stop me from exploring it. So I'm making my way to the back of this room right now, and I just saw a door that just went outside, so I didn't really want to go back outside, so I decided to just go back. Among all of the broken glass and everything else, you're gonna see a pile of something, and I don't know what it is. This is where I saw this pile. What is that? I had to take a second look, and then I saw something there, I didn't know what it was. And so I just kind of moved on, but then I got really curious, and I kind of had to go back for another look. Look at this. Look away if you're squeamish, but that's a dead bird, and I don't know what it's on top of. I don't know what that pile of stuff is. It's like some weird nest, but surely the bird couldn't have built that itself. This room is just incredibly creepy, and there was definitely black mold, so I had to get out of there. And there was definitely black mold, and like I said, I was completely unprepared, so I didn't have my respirator with me, and I needed to get out of that room.
Let's all go where the fun is. Take a special day or plan a weekend trip and visit the #1 family fun stop on the Jersey Shore, Hunt's Pier, located on the main boardwalk from Poplar to Juniper Avenues in Wildwood by the Sea, New Jersey. Hunt's Pier is now open from 12:30 p.m. till midnight daily. On Hunt's Pier, there are thrilling rides and entertainment for all, for the young and those who like to feel young again. There's whirling fun and sky-high fun, from the fire coaster to the satellite jets. There's talk-of-the-walk rides, such as the Golden Nugget Mine Ride, Jungle Land, and the pirate ship Skua. Thrill seekers ride the Himalaya, the Tip Top, the El Scrambler, and the Hot Rod. It's true. Families find more fun at Hunt's Pier. The oceanic wonderland of
When I first got to this mall, I pulled up to a few of the entrances and they were all locked, so I never expected to actually get into the active demolition zone. So as I was walking around taking a few pictures outside of the mall, I looked into the glass doors and I saw a mall walker. So I walked up to it and the door was just open. And then when I opened the door, it definitely wasn't a mall walker, it was a construction worker, and he just kind of looked at me and just nodded. And then this super cool dude who, I don't have his name, but he just walked up to me and I said, "Hey man, I remember this mall from my childhood and I just kind of wanted to see it one last time because I moved down to Baltimore and I haven't seen it forever." And he was incredibly cool about it. He just kind of walked me around and just let me take pictures and everything. So that was a huge win, and that guy is awesome. So obviously right now we're in the active deconstruction zone, the demolition zone, where all of the combustibles were removed, and this is where they're tearing the mall apart. I accidentally filmed this in 300 frames per second, so I had to repair the footage in post. All the lights were flickering because the frequency of the bulbs was completely off and it was a mess, but I think this is a super accurate representation of what this demolition zone looked like. So I really hope you like this part. Over the next almost decade, things were looking up for the Ledgewood Mall. There were new tenants coming in, there was a bunch of shoppers, the traffic was good, and things seemed to be positive for the Ledgewood Mall. In 1990, the mall underwent a major modernization costing between $10 and $20 million in an attempt to keep pace with a large shopping center that opened nearby. Marshall's and Our House, which is a discount home furnishing store, opened as anchors during the modernization. 3 large skylights were added, along with a new ceiling design. Space was also converted to add 13 new smaller spaces in the mall, and the renovation was completed in early 1991. Just in time for the 1994 holiday season, Stearns, a freestanding Barnes & Noble, and a Ruby Tuesday opened at the mall with an incredible reception, and things were looking up, because these heavy hitters would bring in tons of money. And then just 2 years later, in July of 1996, Walmart signed a lease to take over the former Jamesway space, which was going to be further occupied by a Circuit City. So they had some really powerful retailers coming into this mall, and there really was no way to fail. Plans for Walmart to open were stalled over the next year when Farmhouse Corp, with a PH, a drugstore that already had a location in the mall, claimed that they were the only store permitted to sell pharmacy, health, and beauty aids within the mall per their 1993 lease. A federal court issued an injunction to prevent the Walmart from opening. At the time, only 7 of the mall's 60 stores were vacant, so business was pretty good.
Is there any mall left down near Walmart?
In June of 1998, Walmart reached a settlement with Farmhouse and would open their store at Ledgewood on March 17, 1998. Early the next year, a Circuit City would open on February 26th to fill the former Jamesway courtyard. Over the next 10 years, things seemed to be moving forward in an incredibly positive direction for Ledgewood. In an ad from 2004, the list of stores at the mall was impressive, including Macy's, Sports Authority, Circuit City, and Walmart. With just these stores alone, the traffic to the mall must have been incredible. But by 2008, Ledgewood declined heavily, only seeing the signing of Ashley Furniture to fill a former anchor tenant, and the mall was losing business fast. In an article by the Daily Record on May 18, 2008, they state that the mall was, quote, half empty. And in 2009, a redevelopment plan was being considered and several lawsuits were pending against Acadia Realty Trust for unspecified reasons. On May 9, 2011, Acadia Realty sold the mall to AC Ledgewood LLC and Baltoro Capital Management for $37 million. And only 4 years later, the mall was acquired by Advance Realty and DeBartolo Development for around $25 million. Later in the spring, Macy's closed, leaving the mall with 3 anchor stores: Ashley Furniture, Marshalls, and Walmart, along with 25 inline spaces vacant. At this time, the mall's main concourse was nearly empty of customers. Remaining tenants in 2015 included Delzia Pizza Kitchen, Bath & Body Works, Payless Shoes, B&B Eye Group, and Cutting Crew Hair Salon, which was opened at the mall since the 1970s. And then, as the final death knell in 2017, Advance Realty and DeBartolo announced plans to demolish the mall and redevelop it into an open-air shopping center called The Shops at Ledgewood Commons. So far, nothing has happened with the development, and we're still waiting for construction to commence. I'd like to thank all of you for watching this video so much, and I have a ton more content coming, especially my Halloween special, so stay tuned for that. And I'd like to thank all of my patrons and all of my subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to the Dead Malls of Discord family, and a special thanks to the Quite Studios research team. Thanks guys, I appreciate every last one of you so much. So until the next expedition, take care everybody.